Good morning, this is David Wendell with BushcraftOnFire, and we're glad to have you with us for another video. I want to thank all my subscribers and all those that are watching the videos for their support. Today we've had some requests to do videos on basic knots, things that we would use in the bush to tie off different things, tie together. We'll show you a few little tricks. We're going to do a series, probably 3 videos of about 10 to 12 different knots that if you know these knots and a few basic lashings, you should be able to do about 99% of whatever you need to do in the bush. So let's get right to work. Today I want to show you on this video the difference between the square knot and the granny knot, and then also something called the thieves knot. The reason these knots are important is because one is useful in just about every situation. It's a basic knot that you would need to tie off in many applications. The other is the reverse application of this knot, which is a very bad way to tie it, and the third is a trick knot. So let me show you these. And now before we actually get to tying the knots, what I like to do is show you a little bit of rope care. I use basically with 550 paracord. Most of you are probably familiar with this. It has the inner strands. This has 7 inner strands, and you can see, if I try and pull these inner strands out a little bit, you can see those inner strands in there. You can use each one of these inner strands, but one of the things you want to do when you have your cordage is to stop that from coming out or coming frayed. There's a couple ways you can do that. You can use what is called a stopper knot, which is basically just tying an overhand knot in your cordage, and this will eventually fray, but that stopper knot won't allow it to fray beyond the knot. What I prefer to do with my cordage, and it just takes a second or two to do, is to take a lighter, go on the end of the cordage, and just go ahead. You can see as I burn that's shriveling that up a bit. I'm in the wind here, but that's good enough, I think. And once that you melt the ends like that, then that's not going to come unraveled. You do want to be careful because that's hot, and you don't want to touch it for a minute or two after you burn it. If you're not in the wind, you can actually get this to burn by itself, and it'll melt real nicely. If you need a pointed end, and if you're brave, you can actually just pull on this, and that'll give you a pointed end on there that still melts together once it cools off. And that's good if you're using things like weaving or something like that. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is how to coil your rope. Now, a lot of people coil in different ways, and some people just throw their rope in a loop, tie a couple knots around it, and that's okay. It'll work, but you're probably going to end up with a mess, especially if you have 100 foot or 50 foot of cordage. Let me show you a neat little trick. I'm going to get out another piece of cordage because I've tied those together for the demonstration. But this is a nice little wrap. This keeps your cordage all together. It doesn't matter how long it is. This is just a short piece, but if this was a 50-foot piece, it would look identical, just a little thicker. The neat thing about this is I can just pull on this and my cordage comes right apart without slipping. So let me show you how to do that real quickly. Here's a piece of rope that's frayed again. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and melt that together. The wind has stopped here. You can see the lighter is doing a little better job. And then we'll just leave that for a minute to cool off so that I don't get burned when I use it. You can see if you grab this too quick that it'll actually stick to your finger. It burns a lot. So you don't want to do that. You want to be careful with that. Now, to make this little storage loop, what you do is put a piece overhanging your hand and simply go around your pinky finger and around your thumb. Leave this hanging piece out and keep going over, back and forth. You can see that makes a nice little pattern. Once that I finish, I end on the top and I pull this cordage around the wrap that I've just made. I'll go behind one time and then just run right down the cordage. Just finish off with the half hitch in here. Just slide the rope back through itself, tighten it up, and there you go. Nice, secure. If I want to keep this on a carabiner, what I do actually, and I keep my rope on a carabiner in my pocket so it doesn't slip out, I just put all of these little loops together so they're in an orderly fashion, and then I just go ahead and slip them right over the carabiner. That'll hold it. If you put it on the other end, it'll pull it out. So you want to put it on this end. Here's our slip piece, and with the carabiner there, see if this starts to slip in my pocket, what'll happen is the carabiner will stop. So that's a nice way to coil your rope. Another way that people use, and it's okay, I think it puts a little too much strain on the cordage, is what's called the daisy chain, where you just simply come over, make a loop like a slip knot, and then keep coming through. When I do this, or if I do this, it's generally on a thicker piece of rope than 550, and I would double my cordage first, do the daisy chain, and then when you get to the end, I'm not going to do the whole thing now, but when you get to the end, you simply pull it through and tighten it up. It doesn't slip out, and all you have to do to unloose it is to pull this out, that original little knot that we made there, and then the whole thing will just unravel. That's another nice way to keep your cordage. So let's go through this again. We'll just throw this around our hand, go around, and you can see it just takes a second to do this. It's not very long. Of course, this is only 6 or 8 foot of cordage. Throw a loop in the end. So there you go. Just a little bit about rope care, a little bit about how to take care of your cordage. You know, this stuff is as valuable as gold. We found in the Almost Naked to the Wilderness series, there was only 2 things we could take. It would be a knife and cordage, because they take a lot of time to make and they're hard to work with if they're primitive. Good way to do this, and some good information to help you out with your cordage care.